Okay, in today's video, we're going to talk about the associative property. So far we've worked on following the order of operations, then we talked about what the commutative property was. The next one is another property that we're going to see. So make sure you put today's date in the upper right hand corner of the notes or in the upper left hand corner, whatever is convenient for you. Okay, so the associative property applies to addition and multiplication. It states you can add or multiply regardless of how numbers are grouped. And in this case, the word grouped means in parentheses. So my parentheses are the curly brackets that we put in numbers. Okay, so here is an example of what I'm talking about. So we know that the order in which numbers are added doesn't matter. That's the commutative property. But what we're talking about here is what if we group these numbers differently to see what happens when you add them together. So for example, let's say we put 2 plus 7 in parentheses on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, let's say we put 7 plus 5 in parentheses. So remember, order of operations says you have to do what's inside of parentheses first. So 2 plus 7 is 9, and then 9 plus 5 is 14. So let's see if that's still true on the other side. Inside parentheses there, we have 7 plus 5 is 12, and then 2 plus 12 is 14. So this works out. So it didn't matter how we grouped the numbers, but since we grouped them, we were able to add and get the same thing on both sides. This is also true for multiplication. So let's say I have 3 times 4 times 2. We know the order in which you multiply does not matter. But let's see if we can group it differently. So again, I'm going to group the first two numbers on the left-hand side. And then I'll group the second two numbers on the right-hand side. And let's see what happens. Order of operations take care of things inside of parentheses. So 3 times 4 is 12 times 2. 12 times 2 is 24. And let's see if that's true over here. We've got 3 times 8, because 4 times 2 is 8, and then 3 times 8 is 24. So associative property just depends on how you group the numbers. And again, this property only works for addition and multiplication. It is not true. This is not true for subtraction or division. So as an example, let's take a look. If I have 3, let's change that. If I have 5 minus 3 minus 4, and I want to try grouping it differently on the other side. If I group the first two numbers, 5 minus 3 minus 4, and then on this side I group the back two numbers. Inside parentheses first, 5 minus 3 is 2 minus 4. Is that going to equal the other side? Here we get -2. On this side we get 5 minus, this becomes -1 inside of parentheses. So 5 minus -1, that turns into 6, and that is not a true statement. So for subtraction, this process doesn't work. This property is not true. Same idea with division. Let's say I have 100 divided by 20 divided by 5. If I try grouping that differently, will I get the same answer on each side? So let's say I group the first two numbers on the left-hand side and the back two numbers on the right-hand side. $100 divided by 20 is 5. 5 divided by 5 is going to give me 1. So is that going to equal, over here we have 100 divided by 4, because 20 divided by 5 is 4. Remember, order of operations says you do inside parentheses first. Does that equal together? That will not, because 100 divided by 4 is 25. So for the associative property, you can only use it with multiplication and addition, and it just depends on how you group the numbers. Okay, so you can try these practice problems now.